I don't know if you know a guy named Dove Kleiman, but he covers the NFL. I think out of the Denver market, maybe. I'm guessing on that. But he put out a tweet today. He's one of the guys I follow on Twitter. He puts out a lot of interesting stuff, and he said he tweeted today that Jets head coach Robert Saleh says the Jets don't want to be on Hard Knocks this season, and of course the decision is not up to them. The league can force teams, and they've got prerequisites. If you make the playoffs, you don't have to be on Hard Knocks. And there's 3 or 4. If you were on last year, you don't have to be on Hard Knocks. And there's 3 or 4 different ways to get out of it. That the league is set up, which is kind of interesting in and of itself. That if you're good enough to make the playoffs, you can avoid Hard Knocks. But I think it's interesting that Saleh doesn't want to be a part of it, because the one thing that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, not the one thing, but one thing that they absolutely do agree on is they want no part of this for the Niners. Now, I love Hard Knocks. I love the documentary. I always loved training camp when I was in pro football, and to me, it's the essence of pro football, the coming together of a group of men, players and coaches. You're talking about over 100 people. Common goal, a lot of type A personalities, and I just love it. I love the documentary style. I think you get insights into your thinking, into the personalities, and I would love, as a fan, to see the 49ers on there. But I love more that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan don't want the 49ers to be on there, and I think they're right in not wanting to be on there, because I think they feel like if you allow people in your building to understand how you make decisions and get a glimpse at your mindset, that you're really giving them a significant insight into your thinking. And the way the NFL is, everything's very covert, and we don't want to give away anything, and we don't want the other teams to know how we're thinking. But the league can force one of these 4 teams to be in Hard Knocks this year: the Jets, the Bears, the Saints, and the Washington Commanders. Which of those 4 teams, which team would you like to see on there? And then give me your thoughts on the 49ers, like very, very strong determination to never appear.
I think it'd be interesting to see the Washington team on there, just because of all the upheaval that's going on around that team. It'd be interesting to see how Ron Rivera is dealing with getting them ready to go. Plus, they're one of those fringe teams. They just barely missed the playoffs last year, so they're right on the edge. So it'd be fun to watch a team that's close instead of a team. Usually, the teams that are on Hard Knocks are the teams that aren't close. So it'd be good to see a team that actually has a good shot at making the playoffs, and I think Washington would be one of those teams. In terms of the 49ers, I don't know if it's so much about giving away secrets as it is the distraction of having the cameras around all the time. Because you get those cameras in the building, people start acting differently, even though they try not to. They're still going to be acting. They're still kind of on camera. They're still kind of trying to be at times maybe someone they're not. Plus, there's the distraction of, I believe, in those they have little bits where those guys come in and they have to sit down with the crew and talk and all those kind of things. I think that just creates a distraction that the team doesn't want to have around them. Hard Knocks is a really good program. It's very similar to like Last Chance U with the junior college route, right? That you had with Netflix. And the one thing that I noticed with that is that they did the first couple of years, they went back to the same school twice. And in both those cases, the second year was just really crazy in terms of, everybody realized that they were on TV and everybody was going, just crazy stuff happened. You had the crazy guy in at the second one who still bounces around on YouTube and Twitter now after he got fired there. And then, the second year in East Mississippi, I think it was, they have a big brawl and all kinds of stuff goes down there, and just an interesting way. And I think the 49ers want to avoid any of those kind of distractions. Not saying that kind of stuff would happen, but still, it's a distraction. You're going to have people following you around all the time. And, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and these guys, they're not bad guys, but you put cameras in people's faces and you start to act a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's funny though. I don't know if you noticed, a few years ago during, I think, the Harbaugh era, the Niners played the Jaguars in London, and they were part of kind of like a Hard Knocks week in London where the cameras went to their practices. Did you remember seeing any of that?
I don't remember that. No.
Okay, so they had this one scene that was just awesome. They're at training camp, not training camp. They're at practice in London, and Justin the Cowboy Smith is standing there next to Dante Whitner, and they're live mic, and Dante Whitner's freaking out because there's a bee that's like chasing him, right? And you hear Justin Smith go, "Man, I thought you were a badass from Cleveland. You're afraid of a bumblebee." I mean, it was just, and it's little anecdotes like that literally mean nothing, but it gives you some, I don't know, insight, but just a little bit of personality of the players. And heck, that to me, that's one of the reasons I love covering the 49ers, in person, is in getting a chance to go in the locker room and talk to the guys, because you have a much better sense of the team when you kind of understand the personalities. But just seeing Justin Smith, who's a, rough and tough guy, and Whitner, who's a tough guy too, but there are some people that are afraid of bees, and Whitner was like, going crazy, swatting that bee. And he's like, "Man, I thought you were a badass from Cleveland. You're afraid of a bumblebee?" I mean, it was awesome.